I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you have to see this, but we're driving the new WRX today, and I know it looks bad. Anyway, this is the 2024 Subaru WRX TR, and despite the way it looks, this one has Brembos, and that theoretically should make a lot of difference. TR, historically in the WRX lineup, has stood for Tuner Ready, which was the decontented base WRX. It was the one that they expected people to immediately buy, rip the seats out, change the wheels, do whatever they wanted to do with it. Now, they say it stands for Track Ready. Is that the case? Let's find out. The front fell off. When I first picked up this 2024 WRX TR from our local Subaru shop, Paradigm Automotive, Idaho, very big shout out to them for letting me review their shop car. When I first got in it, I was actually fairly impressed, surprisingly. I've never been a huge fan of OEM Recaro seats because it's kind of just a collab for marketing purposes, I feel like. But these are phenomenal. The seats are really, really soft. They're comfortable. And despite how big the side bolsters are for your thighs, it makes it hard to get in and out of sometimes. But if you're not fat like I am, they're excellent. Unfortunately, they're not as great at holding you in on corners as you might think just looking at the bolsters, but they're still very good seats. I like that a lot. I like the rest of the interior. Tesla screen aside, I think it's well done. It's pretty much the exact same dash layout as every modern Subaru. I think it shares components dash-wise with like Impreza and Crosstrek and Forester, but it kind of always has. The WRX has always been a spicy family sedan. Unfortunately, unlike the STI, rather than having some Dijon up its bottom, this is more like French's yellow. It has the exact same power and torque as the regular WRX, 271 and 258 respectively. Exact same engine, no retune, nothing like that. Same transmission, same everything. They retuned the suspension to be a little bit stiffer, and it's compliant, but not uncomfortable like the STI was. STI was livable, but it's not quite as daily friendly as this is. They also retuned the steering rack, and despite how quick and precise it is, as I'll explain when we get to the Canyon, it didn't make a difference. I gotta say, by far the best improvement other than the seats that the TR makes is the 6-piston Brembos from the old STI. That is probably the biggest thing that I miss from my car, and it's really nice to see them here again. Not only 6-piston front Brembos, 2-piston rears, bigger rotors, of course, I'm sure a better compound pad than stock, and a bigger master cylinder to help with the problems that the stock car had with heat. One of the biggest problems with the regular VB is the brakes. It's almost to the point that they're unsafe. You can maybe manage one lap of a track before you boil them, and that's probably not great on a performance car. With this, that's fixed. I've done several repeated stops from the speed limit, and boy howdy, the brakes work really well in collaboration with the new, for this car, Bridgestone Potenza S007 tires. I believe they're the same size as the STI was as well, because they're on 19s. It's a 245/35. They have a decent amount of grip. Obviously, it's a very front-heavy car, so when you push it, you're going to have a little bit of understeer at the limit, but that's to be expected. It's also tuned in there for regular person safety. Mind you, there is a way to upset it, and it's to go far too fast, as this clip will show you. As far as daily livability, I totally get why someone would buy this car. It's really easy to drive, honestly. I had issues with the clutch in the regular WRX, just being way too light and springy. This one, it's still a little springy, but it feels better somehow. The shifter is a huge improvement. I don't know if this car has an aftermarket short shifter or the OEM option short shifter, but it's night and day. The regular VB is not a positive feeling shifter. This makes a big improvement. It's nicely weighted, and it just feels solid. In regards to the Tesla screen that Subaru is determined to keep using, obviously when you start the car up, being a massive screen, it takes a while for it to actually boot up and be responsive. Once it is, it's fine. It's here. The backup camera only takes up half the screen, so that's kind of goofy. Android Auto and CarPlay wireless, that kind of fixes all the issues because then you don't have to use the standard unit. I believe you can also option this car with wireless charging pad, so you can do everything without a cable. I have a cable because I'm poor. Another special feature that the TR gets compared to a regular WRX is no sunroof at all. I believe on the base cars it's an option. On this, it is not an option. You can't get a sunroof on a TR for weight savings. And that pays dividends out here. The power band on the TR is, again, identical to a regular VB. Which is to say, once you're past like 3,000 RPM, it's just a torque plateau. It doesn't really feel exciting to rev it out. You keep the speed, and it builds speed very well, but it's kind of a non-event in terms of the engine. It's just a way to get you going. It doesn't sound that great, although the intake noise is at least decent, and there's a little bit of blow off that you can't hear from inside, but you will hear on the mic. The suspension is really compliant out here. It really helps the car feel super stable. You can definitely still feel the imperfections in the road, which is nice. However, that's the only way you feel the imperfections, because the steering is completely lifeless. It feels like I'm wheeling a Crosstrek or an Outback down here that just has really sharp steering, because it doesn't tell you anything. And when I'm out here and the front wheels start to understeer, I want to know before they start to understeer from the steering, not as I see the car pushing. So that's probably my biggest issue with this car. Subaru is kind of in a weird place right now as far as enthusiasm goes. It used to be that if you were an enthusiast, you liked driving quickly, you bought a WRX if you needed it as your only car, you needed to deal with snow sometimes, maybe you like rallying. It was the default. It was just what you bought. It still kind of is if you're that. There's not much else on the market other than GR Corolla and maybe Golf R that match all of that. Starting with the VA WRX, Subaru started to transition this car into more of a consumer mass market appeal sort of vehicle. And that's kind of been extended with the VB generation. It's very heavily based on a Impreza or a Crosstrek still. It shares different bodywork, but interior, it's just a standard new Subaru with some niceties. And with no STI as a halo car, the BRZ being very badly marketed and not really that well received in sales figures, this is all they have to represent the enthusiast community. And I'm not sure it was enough. Yeah, so obviously the TR, I think, was Subaru's intent on throwing the enthusiasts a bone with some performance variant. They really fumbled when they launched the VB because you could only get these seats along with adaptive dampers in the GT trim, which was only available with a CVT. Subaru tried to church that up by calling it the Subaru Performance transmission, but it's a CVT. So I think the TR was an attempt to kind of remedy that. I don't know how successful it was. We may never know how successful it was because it lasted one model year. The TR is already dead. For 2025, it's been replaced by the TS, which brings it in line with the BRZ TS, the other better Subaru performance vehicle at the moment. The TS adds in the adaptive dampers from the GT, and I believe you also get a digital gauge cluster. Otherwise, it's pretty much identical to this car. And I've never driven one. I don't know how the adaptive dampers feel. Maybe they're great, maybe they're not. But that car costs like $45,000, which obviously, thanks to inflation, that's kind of just where that car would sit. An STI brand new was about 40, so I guess, but for this to be pretty much the same weight as the last gen STI and be down 30 horsepower and 30 foot-pounds of torque, yes, it spools faster. Yes, you get good power delivery on the torque plateau, but I'm not sure this makes the case for itself from a value proposition, because brand new, this car was about $42,000, and that for this just doesn't do it for me. Combined with it not having any steering worth speaking of, and being an acoustic non-event, I definitely see this more as a spicy daily versus an actual legitimate sports sedan. And that hurts to say, because the WRX has kind of always just been the default enthusiast choice if you need one car to do absolutely everything and also drive you around in snow. Yeah, you could be weird and get a Golf R, but no. This is still probably a little more exciting to drive than a Golf R. I'm not going to put it quite at the same level as the VA STI. They tried, they didn't quite make it. Is it as good as like a Hyundai Elantra N that you can get for less money? No. The Elantra will actually give you some steering feel. It's about the same as far as the shift experience. They actually make more power, and that was set up by the boss of BMW M, the former boss. So the Elantra N is a more legitimate performance vehicle when it comes to sport compacts. What else is there in the segment? Elantra N, Golf R, GR Corolla? We'll see. So that was my drive in the 2024 Subaru WRX TR VB generation. You know, it's really good on paper. It makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways. Is it for me? Not really. If it was my 40 grand, I'd park it in a used STI and have money to spare. It's decent at most things. It's really good if you just want a daily, but if you just want a daily, buy the base car. If you want a track car, buy a BRZ TS. And if you want none of those things, buy something else. But the most important thing is, if you want a performance car, buy a manual one. The thing I will respect Subaru on is that they did course correct enough to give us a manual only performance variant. I really appreciate that, because launching it with the GT was kind of a slap in the face to enthusiasts. This definitely helps. The TS with the adaptive dampers may even be a little bit better. Maybe I'll drive one, maybe I won't. All I know is this thing's ugly. My name's Derek, I like cars. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching.